of the songs that people have heard a brief clip of last year is very, very heavy. It's called End of the World. It's kind of about the apocalypse. It's 7-string guitars. It's so heavy, you're gonna poop. I mean, it's crazy. It's happening. Like, here we come. You better deal with it.
I thought you weren't going to give that information out, James. You just said it's secret, and then you just let it out of the bag there.
Listen, I want to give people a little bit. You know,
little.
We're really excited about this.
Welcome to this episode of the NRT Now podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and I just want to pause here for just a quick second to say, from all of us here at NRT, thank you for every subscription, every follow, every rating, every share. That just helps us and helps the artists get their stories out. And the one thing that I've learned is that you just never know who needs to hear that story and how God is going to work through any of these stories that we've told here on the podcast. Half the time it's myself that needs to hear the story, but I'm just continually amazed by how God works through the stories that these artists share. So once again, thank you. And speaking of stories, we have Kutless this week, and they just re-recorded some of their songs from their original album, which weirdly enough just turned 20. I can't believe that I've been a fan of Kutless for almost 20 years now. And they have some stories, y'all. Boy, do they have some stories. So I'm excited to share these stories with you here. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Kutless. We're here today with the one and only Kutless. We got Jon Micah and we got James. I'm sure once we edit this video, it'll point somewhere.
Wherever we are.
Yeah.
These Zoom calls have always been fun because you just never know where everybody is on the other side of it.
That's true.
It's like this weird Brady Bunch.
I always feel like my shirt is always backwards writing too. I can never tell.
Yeah. I think it's backwards writing for you, but I can read it.
Yeah, you guys see Pearl.
Yeah, we see it normal, but it looks weird in your own camera.
I suppose talking about some of the Kutless Legacy and you guys being around for 20 years, like this whole Zoom thing is pretty new. Like I remember when Skype came out, like it was just the best thing ever. If you're on dial-up, just forget it. And now here we are 20 years later. This is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Well, ironically, speaking of 20 years ago, when we first started, I mean, things like iTunes didn't exist yet. iPods were just about to be released. And we were having conversations as we were recording, like, all right, are we going to do this on tape? Or are we going to do Pro Tools, which is relatively new, completely computer-based digital software for recording? So it's funny, yeah, like now we feel like dinosaurs again because we got to learn how to use Zoom calls and stuff.
Yeah, there was no such thing as streaming back then. It's crazy. Yeah. There was no Netflix, there was no Spotify or Apple Music and none of that. And the iPod had just come out. It was the first generation iPod, and everybody was like, oh my goodness, I can put like 1,000 songs on one little thing and carry it with me. I don't have to have a giant booklet of CDs all around. I remember like when I was in high school, you used to have like the CD visor that went on your sun visor in your car, and just like the whole rack of all your favorite CDs in there, but you could only fit like 10 or 15. And so you had to like keep your favorites right there.
Yeah. It's like the starting lineup.
Yeah. The worst part about it is after about a year or so, you had to buy a new one because the elastic would go out on it. So it'd be sagging like 2 inches before. And
the other thing I remember from that era that was always amazing to me, and I think nowadays this is like so foreign, but I remember friends getting their cars broken into, and the thing they were most distraught about was their CD collection got stolen. And I remember like even our first record, I remember getting emails from people like, dude, somebody broke into my car and stole all my CDs. I'm so devastated, but they have your record, so maybe it'll impact their life. So it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, I do remember stories like that. That's funny.
Or the tape deck being stolen because they didn't come factory installed. You had to go buy your own and do the wiring harness and all the stuff. And so somebody would break into your car and your CD player would be gone and you'd just be left up a creek.
Yeah, exactly.
So sad.
suddenly my back hurts now. My knees hurt. Like just this whole old feeling is starting to come in right now.
Yeah. I was at the gas station a little bit ago, and I was trying to turn to like see what astronomical number was going to show up at the pump. And I full on like hurt my neck trying to turn to look at the price. And I was like, come on.
Yeah. And, 20 years ago, we're listening to people talk about the stuff in the good old days. And here we are, like, my daughter will never, ever know the joy of having to go to a CD store or a music store or Walmart or whatever it is and like go pick up a CD. You had to wait for the CD to actually physically show up in store and not the pre-save stuff. And just some of the things that we experienced as part of the whole music listening experience. Like our kids will just never know what that's like.
True.
Yeah, it's changed so much. And the thing I kind of miss about those old days, though, is music had a different place in culture, and like it was really meaningful to people, bands and songs. And not that it's not now, but there's just so much available. I feel like you don't have the connection with individual artists and individual records. Like we used to listen to records top to bottom. A new record would come out and you would listen to every single song and it wouldn't leave your CD player for weeks or months. Like you would wear that thing out. I remember saving up, my money, saving up dollars to buy new records when they came out. And it was like, so exciting to go to the record store, listen to the new music that came out. It was a whole process, an event, and now we just hit play. whatever device. We're like, choose my playlist for me, Siri, you know what I like. So it is so different, but at the same time we are able to do things that we've never been able to do before. On this project with 20, I recorded all the vocal, actually right behind me. You can kind of see the little vocal booth I've set up behind me. All the vocals recorded right there in my house. And I'd sent those files off to Josiah in Nashville, and we'd send stuff back and forth. We're working like 2,000 miles apart from each other, getting stuff done. And it was like, that was unfathomable 20 years ago. Like there was no way to do that, So there's some pretty cool things with technology too, that's really changed the recording process and what we're able to do. I also have a theory. This is because you were talking about getting older and hurting and, having more issues with how we feel. My theory is that the average lifespan I think the average lifespan is about 77 years old is what the average is in America, right? So the closer we get to that age, the riskier the activities we can get. Because if you're playing the percentages, you're actually not taking as big of a risk because you're closer to the end of your life anyway. So I decided in my 70s, I should take up base jumping. The closer I get to expected age. So, we're just going to ramp it up as we get, that's my theory of staying young while getting older.
Well, I remember Kutless shows, back in the 2003, 2004 era and all that. They were wild to start with. Now that you're starting down this, I don't know how this is going to look. Like if there's like the base jumping at the concert or like the ultimate stage dive or parachuting onto stage.
Well, we're still pretty active on stage. We get after it still. James doesn't spin his guitars as often, not because he can't or doesn't want to. It's more just he likes his guitars a lot and they're really nice. And there's been a lot broken over the years.
I like them intact. It's much easier to play the song and record a new song if the guitar is not broken into 1,000 bits.
Yeah. How many guitars have you broken doing the guitar spin, do you think, over the years?
Definitely like broke 3, and several more have like come off my body and clang, crash, boom, slide across stuff, hit someone.
Before we do this too much farther, I gotta cover their ears. I don't want them to hear this.
Oh yeah, this is very upsetting to all those guitars in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, you almost killed me with your guitar one time. I remember it missed my head by centimeters.
I would like you to mention for the record that it was not on purpose.
No, it wasn't on purpose. Yeah. James was doing a guitar spin, and usually when things go wrong with guitar spins, it's because like they use strap locks, which is the first lesson if you're a kid trying to do guitar spins for the first time. Use strap locks, or you'll destroy your guitar almost every time. We do use strap locks, but sometimes they rip out, especially when you're playing as much as we are and on the road and stuff. And so when the whole thing rips out, the whole screw and everything, there's nothing to hold it in. So yeah, James had spun his guitar and it just ripped straight out. And that guitar came screaming right at my head. I didn't even see it, but it caught, I was wearing in-ear monitors and I had a little cord right running down the back of my neck. It literally caught the cord of my in-ear monitors on the back of my neck and yanked my head back. And I was like, what was that? And I look over and James's guitar is laying on the ground next to me. I was like, oh my goodness, I almost just died.
We should note, speaking of that, since you guys are PRS sponsored, we'll hit this in the video here as we post video, but these PRSs have this nice little angle and this nice little point to them. So it's almost like an arrow, like in a guitar spin, that'd almost be like an arrow coming straight behind you.
Yeah. Stab me in the side of the head. Yeah. Yeah. James is playing Kiesel now. James, what do your headstocks look like in your Kiesels?
They look a little different. I've got a couple next to me here. I'll show you in just a second. My dog is blocking my.
Yeah, Luna's trying to get in on the.
This is my dog, Luna. She's awesome. I'll grab a guitar. Hang on.
Nice.
See, this is the fun part about being a guitar music fan is like the behind the scenes, the gear talk, which we could probably spend a whole podcast episode on gear talk.
So this is one of my Kiesels. It's a 7-string. It's called the Aries 7. It's in like this beautiful white color. I actually call this guitar Finn, like Star Wars. Anyway, yeah. So
because it's a good guy, but it's white and black.
Yeah, it looks like a stormtrooper, but it's actually a good guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. I thought everyone would just know what I meant by that. This guitar looks like a stormtrooper, but it's a nice guy.
So does that mean you miss notes with that one, or?
Did you just ask me if I miss notes with this one? Of course I don't miss notes.
They miss.
I'm a professional. I don't miss notes. Yeah, but stormtroopers do always miss with their laser guns. But he's a good guy, so he's got good aim.
Gotcha. That's where I messed up. My bad.
I mean, we're way far off now. Anyway, this is a great guitar that Jeff Kiesel and the team down at Kiesel Guitars in San Diego made for me. 7-string tuned to drop A flat that I've been recording a lot of our newer stuff with. And on the 20 EP, I played those songs in their original keys on guitar, but I've been experimenting with like different instruments like this, like 7 strings and baritones and different tunings and stuff. So I actually added a bunch of 7-string parts to the new songs that were like inversions of certain chords, so I could fill out the whole chord and make it a little bit fuller sounding in those spots, and added some new rhythms and new patterns in areas and stuff. So anyway, yeah, this guitar is awesome. And maybe I'll grab another one real quick too, but go ahead and talk.
Still has a dangerously pointy headstock.
Yeah, you are in danger. That is true.
I'm going to start wearing a helmet for our shows, I think.
Oh, so this is completely off topic because this is what we're doing is going completely off topic. But here in Texas, there's an 80s covers band called the Spasmatics, and they're all dressed all nerdy, but I mean, they still rock pretty hard, but one of his staples is the helmet, like a old, like probably politically incorrect helmet, but so it works. They play all over Texas. They do well. So the helmet works.
There we go. Yeah. It'll be the new era
I've returned with another guitar. This one is also very, very pointy. You're in trouble.
Yes. Yes.
This is a flat black DC6. I love this guitar. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, this is just a regular 6-string, but man, this is one of the best balanced guitars I've ever played. I really think they're a remarkable company. So if you've never heard of Kiesel guitars, it's spelled like the word diesel, like diesel fuel, but with a K, Kiesel. And that's a guy named Jeff Kiesel down in San Diego. And thank you guys for all the guitars. You have made me some very awesome guitars. There's more than these too, but let's move on.
This episode has not been sponsored by...
But James is. Yeah. Well, you got to pick out like everything, have those custom built, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, everything they do. I mean, they make an inventory that's available for sale, but their main thing is like custom guitars. So yeah, I got to pick all the wood. I got to customize colors and choose headstock shapes and, you know, different radius options and everything. I mean, really, if you are a guitar player and you want a great instrument, reach out to them, because I have played with several really great guitar companies over the years, and they are by far the most meticulous company I've ever worked with. They are paying attention to everything, and I love it. So
you picked out that pointy headstock. It's your fault.
Yeah, I was really hoping to get you like this. Fuck you just right.
It's your self-defense guitar.
So far on this podcast, we are slowly building a backstory that I'm out to get you every time we go on stage.
That lead singer role is apparently very coveted in the band.
Yeah. No, James and I have been doing this long enough together. I think we're all right.
I trust him.
I don't think he'll kill me intentionally.
No, just if we go in any sort of off-road vehicle and I'm driving.
True. Still not intentional, but possible.
No, definitely not intentional.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Dead otherwise.
Okay, we got to hear this story now. You guys have opened that door. We got to walk through.
Well, okay. First of all, I should just say I like to go fast. And we were at like someone's ranch out in Montana on a day off in between shows and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And these folks had like legitimately had a motocross track at their house. They had tons of property, big acreage out in Montana. And part of it was, you know, a structured, like routed course with jumps and rhythm sections and big berm banks and everything. But then the rest of the property was just like freestyle off-road kind of, you know, mudding around. And I was driving one of those Polaris Razor off-road cars. It's kind of a open chassis a little bit. They're fast. They're super duper fast. And anyway, I had been puttering around the property through the little mud puddles with kids in the car for most of the morning. So I was like, like going around and like, woo, isn't this so fun? Wow. Then the kids took a break because they wanted to go have hot dogs and Capri Sun or whatever. And Neil, our bassist, got in with me. And I was like, all right. I turned into Ricky Bobby. And I was like, it's time to go fast. So I started ripping around and I drove us into one area of the motocross track where you could kind of cut across the middle. And these people even had like bleacher seats right next to their track. So obviously they have friends come over all the time. I noticed that like Jon Micah, the rest of the band, everyone from our tour that was there, and all these like motocross guys, everyone was kind of over by the front next to the bleacher seats. And so I was like, I'm going to come in super fast and then power slide past them and just like rooster tail spray them with so much dirt. I was like, that'll be so funny. What did happen was I came in super fast and then proceeded to flip the vehicle, I think 3 times right in front of them and landed, came to a rest in a cloud of dust upside down, and like fluid was dripping out, drip past us. You've never seen anyone get out of a vehicle faster than Neil Cameron. Bro, he jumped out so fast. Before I even realized that we had crashed, he was like out and like looking at his elbow like, am I okay? Am I okay? You know? So to this day, Neil's always like, I don't know if I want to get in that car with James.
Yeah, Neil says never again in the Razors for sure. Side by side.
Chalk that up to lessons learned over the years.
It was pretty amazing though. I mean, once we realized they were okay, because right in front of us. I mean, it was just like, oh, James coming in hot. What's he doing? Oh no.
So Jon Micah was already trying to get the tryout schedules going for the new guitarist, you know?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
The crazy thing was the vehicle was pretty much okay. There was like one panel that kind of like broke, and
yeah,
I don't like, they have a roll cage on them. I guess they're made to do that.
And I should say with our hosts, like they're all getting gnarly every day when they're riding. So they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. We've seen this all before. Like it was no big deal to them.
I figure at some point I need to get my fangirling out of the way because I've been a huge fan of Kutless from that first album. So it's really exciting for me to see this one come out. So just one of the fun parts that, oh man, what was it? 2004, 2005, you guys were on the Strong Tower tour, I believe. And that was like my first concert that I went and paid for. We traveled from Wyoming down to, I think that show was in Denver or the Boulder area, something like that. I'm kicking it way back old school with, I think Falling Up was on tour with you guys on that one, if I'm remembering the right one. 1,000 Foot Crutch, FM Static. I'm trying to think of who else was on that tour.
Was that the Sea of Faces tour, James?
Sea of Faces, that's right.
Yeah. Yep.
Possibly.
Yeah, that was Sea of Faces. I got the album wrong. But yeah, it was the Sea of Faces tour. One of the things that I know that you have said over the years is, going from those tours and all that to now, like Kutless has become a generational band. So, people like me who have listened from, 16, 17, 18, whatever I was when I started listening to you guys to now, my 11-year-old is listening to you guys, and hopefully the babies will start growing up with you guys. It's definitely been fun to see that generational impact that you guys have had over, all these albums, between the worship and the rock and all that. And now, Jon Micah, one of the things that got to happen with this record with 20 was that your son was able to actually join you on this record as well, or on this EP as well, for Your Touch. We were talking about Your Touch earlier as we're getting set up here. And so not only is it generational for us out here, it's generational for you guys as well. And that's so cool to see that happen.
Yeah. That was a pretty neat thing to be able to have him sing background vocals on that song. He's been really into music the last couple of years. He's 17. He's going into his senior year of high school. When he was younger, I'd never wanted to like push music on him. If he wanted to do it, great. But like, kind of let him decide. And he always liked the idea of performing, but he honestly didn't really want to put in the work to become a good musician when he was younger. And then it's really been the last couple of years that he was like, no, I really want to like learn how to do this and get better. And he's been just spending a ton of time writing his own songs, recording his own songs. And I got him a little like studio rig for his birthday last year. And he's just been like, spending a ton of time on it. He's really passionate about it right now. And so when we were working on that song, there's, the background vocals, there's a lot of layers to it. And I was like, multiple voices would be really great to have on here. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, do you want to sing on this song? He was like, are you serious? Like, yes. And so he was just so stoked, and I was able to record him right here. And yeah, it turned out great. And so it's for him, this is kind of a big thing too. And then as a dad, like to be able to do that with your kid and have him be a part of the project was also really cool. And then the other neat thing that we're kind of discovering right now is these songs are brand new to his generation. Like he wasn't born when these songs first came out. A lot of them are kind of hearing these songs for the first time. And that's one of the things I love about this new EP is the approach that we took to it was to record these songs as if they were recorded in 2022. It sounds like they were recorded in 2022. They don't sound like they're 20 years old because we did record them this year. And that was the goal, is to preserve the songs, but to update them and use all of the experience and the growth that we've had over the years and apply that to them. And so it's been neat to see some of the younger crowd kind of like hearing these like, oh, this is sweet. I love these new songs. And you're like, well, they're kind of new. So it's been, again, to be able to bridge that generational gap a little bit. I'm hoping that we'll have a lot more young people that love it, that don't even know these are 20-year-old songs. But I'm really happy with the way it turned out, though. That the new project has been really fun. And so far, all the feedback has been like exactly what we were hoping for the most part. People are like, man, I didn't think this song could be any better, but you guys leveled it up somehow, like, which is that was our goal. That's what we were shooting for. So mission accomplished.
Yep.
The breakdown in Your Touch, like I remember that. Yeah, I run back to that every once in a while, and just comes in after that crashing, and then you guys change that up to more of just like a 4 on the floor, just kind of like stripped down, but still has that energy. I mean, some of those songs just took me off guard because what I was expecting didn't happen, but somehow like it made you stop and think like, ooh, heck yeah, this is what it's about.
Cool. Thank you. I think it was a fun challenge because we knew some parts we needed to like present them pretty much the same so that it gave you that like dopamine hit that you were after as a fan and a listener. Like, oh yeah, songs are very emotional. Music is very emotional. Chord changes can change the way you perceive and think about a song. So like in Run, we added a chord change in the choruses that I think makes the song much more poignant. And that's just literally changing the voicing of a chord. You know, we didn't change the words, but there were parts where we knew we needed to present it the same. And there were parts where we knew we could go ahead and try and surprise you with something else and kind of a different vibe or different energy there. And the part that you're talking about in Your Touch, I just really wanted to do like electronic dance music is kind of become a trope of like I didn't want to get all like glow sticks on everybody, but you know, there's some really fun elements of like EDM combined with rock and roll stuff where like, you know, I gave that like real digital kind of pulsing beat to just kind of like pull it back and give a different energy there for a little bit, because that helps us get up to that big riff with the scream, the Your Touch scream, like that riff, it helps build up to that a little bit different. And then we kind of changed the meter on that once we all come in as a band, a little bit halftime there. So it's a bit like more swingy and rockier. Yeah, it was fun to like choose those moments and say, okay, let's zoom in here. We can do something different. Or like, let's just make sure the song sounds updated and modern, but let's present it to them the same way so they get that payoff still. It was a fun challenge.
I don't think that we can talk about the journey of Kutless without just some of the people that have come through. Start off with Ryan on guitar. Was Lucky originally with you guys from the start, or
no? Stu was our first bass player from all the way back from college. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Original lineup was James and I, Ryan, Stu, and Kyle Mitchell. So those were the original guys that we all kind of met in college and started playing worship music together in college. And then over the years, we've had a handful of guys come and go. Lucky and Jeff came in around the Strong Tower era.
Yeah, 2005.
And they were with us. Yeah, they were with us for a while. I think Neil, though, our current bass player, is the longest running other band member beside James and I. He's been with us like 10 years. Is that about right? A little over 10 years. And then, Nate's been with us for quite a while too. Matt, our current drummer, is the newest of our current lineup.
You had Nick in there as well.
Yeah. Nick DeParty was a big part of, he did a lot of songwriting with us during the era that he was with us too. So definitely big part of that era's sound.
And super talented graphic designer as well. So actually was very involved in a lot of our like album, like artwork direction and layout and even designs and merch and all sorts of stuff. He was just an incredible asset. And even better than that, like a dear, dear friend, you know, when he decided that he needed to get off the road and be at home and not be in Kutless anymore, I literally went and like listened to a John Mark McMillan record and went and cried and went for like a long walk. It was so sad. But, you know, special people have been in our band over the years. It seems like the Lord brings the right people and moves them on at the right time, helps us learn lessons from dealing with different kinds of personalities and friendships. And to be totally frank, sometimes it doesn't work out great and it's painful and hard. And we've got to do the hard work of like self-examination, self-growth, forgiveness, also understanding boundaries and how to set boundaries that are healthy for us moving forward to protect our families, things like that. You know, that's true in the lives of all the listeners, I would imagine. You know, I'm sure that relates and I'm sure that people are, you know, relating to that. And it's true for us too. You know, life is hard. Human beings are tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and then you just put everybody in a tour bus together in a 40-foot long hallway, and
it's basically a sociological experiment. How about you guys live in a 45-foot hallway for 7 months, and you all sleep within a 12-foot area? We've had just some really special guys over the years, and blessed by a lot of great friendships. And yeah, our current lineup, we love these guys. They're all really incredible, and they all bring a lot to the table. Part of what is such a huge relief is that they're all just genuinely kind, patient, awesome guys. So we're super thankful. Big shout out to Nate and Neil and Matt. We love you guys.
As we start kind of wrapping up the episode here, just looking towards the future and looking at what's coming next, I think it was 2018. You guys are on the, what was it? The One Night Music Circus Tour. That's what it was. That was the first time I got to meet you guys.
Oh, wow.
Jon Micah, one of the things that you said in the interview was in your live shows, you do a lot more of the worship side because that's what's been on the radio. That's been kind of the big stuff that's happened there. Now that we have this 20 coming out and hints of some new music coming out that's more along the rock side, what are the Kutless shows going to look like kind of moving forward? Are we going to get back a little bit to that rock side? Or are we going to kind of keep on the worship track? What does that look like?
We have some songs that I think will always be a part of our set list for the most part, just because they're some of the most well-loved and well-liked songs. So I think there will be an element to that'll probably continue with us for a long time. That being said, directionally, we are just at a place in our career where we just want to do the music that we want to do, the music that we like and that we love. Over the years, we've spent a lot of energy and effort trying to stay relevant in Christian radio and just kind of the whole Christian market thing. And at this point in our career, we're like, if we're going to keep doing this and keep going, we want to be true to ourselves and to the kind of music that we love and the kind of music that we enjoy playing. Realistically, that means that we want to rock out and do heavy music. So I think you'll see moving forward a bit of a push that direction towards heavy music and heavier live show. And we're excited about that. And I think we'll be kind of honest and open on a lot of these songs. You may hear kind of us lyrically to us exploring some spaces maybe we haven't explored as much. And that's just the place we're at in our lives right now. And actually really excited about this season in that regard.
Yeah.
The thing that I see most when you guys have done either Facebook Live or anywhere that we can see some of the comments that come through, the biggest thing that I see is, when is new music coming out? So talking with Nate Parrish, guitar player, he's teased a little bit about some of the new music coming out. He still won't share any because he's a jerk. And no, I'm kidding. I love you, Nate. I swear. When is this new music coming out? What is it going to be like? And what do we have to look forward to with it?
I'm going to just continue being a little bit vague because we have taken a 5-year break as a band and we're just coming back. And to be frank, we want to keep this part secret as we keep going forward a little bit. It's kind of fun to we kind of control the narrative here, whereas for a long time we felt like we were being led along in our career and a lot of people trying to lead us this way and that way. And we really finally have a great team of people around us who, in every aspect, to be totally honest, everyone working with Kutless right now is completely focused and fully in support of we just want to help you guys do what your vision is. And I am so grateful for that. I'll give this little tidbit up to all of our faithful fans. First of all, thank you so much. Thank you for being here for us. Thank you for the ways that you have been blessings in our lives and encouraged me and Jon Micah over the years. Thank you so much. We appreciate you more than you'll ever know. These new songs coming out later in the year at an unspecified date are exploring themes like mental health struggles and the war in Ukraine and the injustices we see of attacks on innocent life all throughout the United States, all the mass murders that we've seen, kids that are being killed. we want to talk about this stuff. We want to talk about things that are uncomfortable to talk about, because we as Christians are connected to the Almighty God, the King of the universe, the Savior of the world. We have the answers. We have what people are looking for. And we have to be honest about this now. We have got to stop attacking each other and getting in each other's way because of church dysfunction and traditions of men that we're trying to conform to. We've got to lay that stuff aside and see it for what it is, in all the ways that Satan has disrupted the church nowadays and distracted us from what the main goal is, which is to preach Jesus and teach the Bible and lead people in healthy discipleship to a closer relationship with God. That has to include, at this day and age, being open and honest about what it feels like to experience this life and still trust that God is good. So we're talking about things like that. One of the songs that people have heard a brief clip of last year is very, very heavy. It's called End of the World. It's kind of about the apocalypse. It's 7-string guitars. It's so heavy, you're gonna poop. I mean, it's crazy. It's happening. Like, here we come. You better deal with it.
I thought you weren't going to give that information out, James. You just said it's secret, and then you just let it out of the bag there.
Listen, I want to give people a little bit, little. We're really excited about this. And honestly, like Jon Micah said, I think one of the reasons why 20 years ago fans connected with us and felt encouraged by our music and felt excited to be part of what was happening through Kutless, I think one of the main reasons is because people were relieved that, finally there's a band that sounds like this. Finally, I think there was a sense of relief for a lot of our longtime listeners. Maybe you can speak into that too, but like, we really want to get back to that feeling of like, look, we love rock music. I'm trying to push boundaries within the genre because I really believe in the power of songwriting. I believe in this style, and it's authentic. It's me. It's us. I have a vision here, a big picture vision that I am trying to execute, and I know that it's going to work. That's how I feel right now.
I would say, for people that are like looking for like what the future holds, if you listen to 20, there's a lot of elements in there that hint to where we're headed. So, I mean, those are older songs that we reimagined, redid, but if you kind of dive into the layers that are in there, there's a lot of approaches that we took on those songs that they're kind of hint towards the future. And the same team that worked on that project is working on the forthcoming new stuff as well. So it's going to have some similarities. It's a little bit different approach because it's a different type of project. Right. But yeah, we're excited about it. And there's a lot of stuff I think that we've gone through just as individuals and as human beings that I think we want to just kind of raise the conversation about. And we plan to do that via our music. We're actually also working on a podcast that we're hoping to launch fairly soon as well, where we're going to kind of dive more in depth into some of our own personal stories and struggles. And for years, being kind of in the limelight and on stage, the tendency is to like protect the reputation, and people are so great at piling on and being really negative. So you tend to put on armor and be like, I'm not going to let anybody see any vulnerability because they'll use that against me to tear me down. So I feel like most of our career, we've kind of operated more that way of like, let's stay protected and armored up and not let people see the deep inner thoughts or struggles. But I think we're just at a place now where it's like, you bury that stuff long enough, it has a way of boiling over and erupting. And that's not healthy either. And so I think in our process, we're at a place where we're like, you know what? I bet my story can help other people as well. Yeah. And I think we have a really unique perspective because of our positioning in Christian culture and our positioning in the different ways that we grew up. Me being in the church, my dad was a pastor, James being out of the church, having his dad leave at a very young age and having a whole trajectory that followed from that. So like both of us have like these very different stories that kind of come together in Kutless, and then we have shared struggles together. And it's interesting to see the way that those stories kind of mesh, and some of the similarities now after 20 years of doing music together, some of the similar struggles that we have that are largely resulting from many of the things we went through together. Yeah. And there's some really heavy stuff that we've had to go through over the last 20 years, and it's definitely affected us. So I think having those conversations, especially right now in a time where there's a lot of conversations about why people are leaving their faith, a lot of, artists and musicians, that there's kind of been this seemingly mass exodus of people that are just jumping out, being like, I'm done, I'm out. I feel like I understand. I don't necessarily agree, but I understand because of some of the things we've been through. And I'm like, man, I get it. And I don't feel like that side of the story has been talked about that much. And so we kind of want to dive into some of that and be honest and open. And it's going to be challenging because you got to put yourself out there. And I'm sure there will be people that will use that to say some terrible things. But I think we're maybe the first time in our lives ready to do that anyways. And so we'll see. That's more stuff coming down the pipes that we're excited about, tentatively excited about, but I think it'll be hopefully really helpful for people and encouraging. And also it'll help people understand kind of where we've been and what we've been doing the last 5 years, and why kind of this season has had a lull and why we're back and all of that stuff. So it's a much longer story than just we can fit in today.
Yeah, that's a whole different episode. But I mean, I love where you're going with that, because I think people are ready for more real. And this is maybe my opinion or hope or whatever, but people are ready for real and these real conversations, and not just the glitz and the glamour. And I mean, we've seen that when churches are all glitz and glamour and emotion, that stuff just breaks down. I think we avoid that meat and that hard stuff way too much. I'm really excited to see that people are starting to come out and talk about that. I mean, we've seen the wave, like we Are Messengers came out with It's Okay to Not Be Okay. And we're starting to see some of that reemergence of real and real life and real struggles just come out, I think, as a society as a whole, but also, coming from the Christian music industry, where I think some of these messages and some of this hope should be coming from, and people being leaders in the church, leading that charge that, it's okay to not be okay, but we know where to go to be okay.
Yeah. I think at this point, we're really betting on the fact that if I feel this way and I share it, I bet most people feel this way too, actually. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think people are just so waiting for like that authenticity and that freedom to say, yes, that has also been a problem for me. That is a wound that I'm dealing with. And let's never forget, like, Jesus, we have Christ. He is with us. We are with him, right? He promises that he's with us. So if we're really going to be disciple makers and friends with people who are hurting and broken and perhaps don't even believe the same as us yet, we've got to be willing to share how Christ has revolutionized those hurts and wounds and tragedies in our own lives, and really tell them the truth about who he is, and not try and groom them into a program that meets our approval and like we're checking boxes like, yep, they're the right kind of Christian or whatever. That whole premise is based on the fact that the belief that we are right about something, instead of just trusting that God's way is better and trusting him about it, So I think, we're realizing that I bet most people have felt what it feels like to have your own Christian friends kind of stab you in the back. And you want to talk about that in a healthy way with other people who have also gone through that, and not arrive at a place of hatred or a place of separation from God, but a place where you fully processed that hurt in a healthy way and come back to God and said, I just love you so much. Thank you for your grace and mercy in my life, even when things like this happen. Thank you for showing me how to be forgiving. Now help me to forgive others in ways that like I have hurt them, right? Or help others to forgive me in ways that I have hurt them. That should be the end goal, right? So it's time. It's time for us to be a voice of unity. and uniting the church, and also sharing the goodness and graciousness of who God is with people who are as yet unbelievers. And I think that heavy music has a great way of reaching out to both kinds of audiences, and it's certainly the most authentic version of what we want to do.
So I think we need to end this episode on more positive note. Let's see if we can not leave this on a
that's positive.
Well, it is. It's a very positive, but let's see if we can not end on the super heavy. So I'm gonna ask
So you want me to tell you my favorite kind of pizza?
As long as it's Hawaiian, but I think we just started a pineapple on pizza conversation. We're just talking about unity. I don't think we can go down that route there because
this is a disunity topic. If I
pizza
ever heard
so divisive. I like most pizzas. I like the mod style pizza where you can just put everything on it, like all the stuff you like, better stuff.
So the softball question that I have for you guys is actually music related. The best tour prank that you guys have had in the last 20 years.
We just talked about this the other day.
Yeah, we did. I'll think of a different one for this podcast, for this interview. Hawk Nelson used to have this dirty old van that I think was called Steve. They would ask their friends to come inside and write a note on the ceiling or sign. So all inside Steve, the van, was just scribbles everywhere and all these crudely drawn band logo, just a guy trying to draw upside down with a drying out Sharpie. We were in a little bit of a prank war with Hawk Nelson because Jason Dunn was pretty much crazy back then. And I think we found catfish bait at a local fishing store, and we would smear it on parts all around the inside of their van.
Oh, no.
I don't even know if they know we did this, but I think we stuck like a fish in their van too. We just really trashed the thing. But let's see, what else? Are these things that we did or things that happened to us?
I think all qualifies.
All qualifies. Well, I suppose, Jon Micah, you could tell the story with Audio A.
I'm going to shorten it because to kind of cover all of it, there was a lot that happened that night. But Audio A was known for being pranksters. They were in the industry. Everyone's like, oh, Audio is the top. They were we're going to destroy you guys on tour. And so we just said, hey, if you mess with us, we'll mess with you. Don't mess with us. We're warning you. So gave them fair warning. The night culminated. We did a bunch of stuff, but the grand finale was a couple bottles of water on every single band member and 2 bags of flour on every single band member, which flour and water instantly make dough. So the entire band in Audio Adrenaline was head to toe white, covered in dough. And then we turned their confetti cannons that shoot off at the end of their show. We turned those in towards them. So the confetti cannons shot directly at them and basically feathered their dough covered bodies. So they just looked completely covered, destroyed at the end of the show. And I don't know if Audio A ever pranked again. I think we ruined it for them. And the next tour we did with them, when we got to the end of the tour, they were like, all right, so last night of tour is always traditionally the prank night. The day before the last night of tour, they gave us a contract, okay, we're going to have you guys sign this, no pranking and we were like, hey, guys, you don't mess with us, we won't mess with you. Same deal applies. You mess with us, we'll destroy you again. And they didn't touch us. They left us alone. So we left them alone.
Oh, that's so amazing. Well, Jon Micah and James, just appreciate you spending this time here. And we love 20, and we're looking forward to all the unspecified vagueness that's coming out in a vague period of time.
Well, definitely. Thank you guys. If you want to follow what's happening, our Instagram's official Kutless, our Facebook, just Kutless. We also have Twitter, and I think we have a TikTok now. I dislike TikTok, but we have one now with like 3 followers because we have like a video, like one little thing of 20 on there, I think. But yes, follow us on all those. We'll keep you guys updated with new stuff coming out, and we're excited about 20. Share it with your friends, share it with people around you, spread the word. And thank you guys for everybody that has listened to us for 20 years. Yes. Thank you for sticking with us. I know there's a handful of people that we are on a first name basis with because you guys have been to so many shows and have followed us for so long. So thank you. We hope we made you proud on this 20 EP, and we're excited to bring new music to you guys in the coming year.